This is a Touchstone Publishers presentation, your trusted source of leadership knowledge.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to your broadcast this morning. My name is Glenn Daniels, and I am the COO of Touchstone Publishers. Once again, welcome. I hope you're having a great day today. I want to talk about something today that might take a little bit of time, but I want to talk about why it is so important that a leader understands how the limbic system works. Because that limbic system, let me get some screens up here for you. The limbic system is a part of your brain that sets the emotional tone. As a leader, if you can help set the emotional tone for your leadership team or for people in your place of business or people who report to you directly, if you can help set that tone, you're going to find a lot of power in what you're going to do. The limbic system filters external events with their internal states. In other words, it creates emotions. The limbic system is responsible for creating emotion. It stores these highly charged emotional memories. What do you remember about being scared of a spider? Or what do you remember the first time you burnt your hand or someone screamed at you as a child? It stores these highly charged emotions. What do you remember about your first roller coaster ride? I remember my daughter's first roller coaster ride because it was so charged for me to see her so scared then so excited. Okay, what about that? The I guess let's go to the next one here. It modulates your motivation. Your limbic system is required to modulate your motivation. It's what takes place in your body, your mind, when you decide you're motivated to follow someone's vision, motivated to get up and go to the gym. The limbic system is what's in charge of that. It also controls your appetite and sleep. Okay, your limbic system will also control your appetite and sleep. And it also promotes bonding between friends and family and wives and husbands and spouses. It promotes that. Your limbic system is also the area that processes smells. Okay, and it also attaches meaning to those smells oftentimes too. The limbic system modulates your libido. Okay, that's what your limbic system is all about, can do and does do with a couple other things. And it's important that you take a look at that. But here's something I want to talk to you about as a leader that you must be aware of. There are some negative things that as a leader you're in control of that you need to take and fix. Your limbic system will decide the importance of an event. Okay, it decides how important something is. If you're having a meeting, one-on-one meeting, and that person feels like, okay, well, this is not a very important meeting, that's the limbic system deciding that. Okay, it decides that, and you got to kind of look at that and kind of decide, okay, well, this happened 20 years ago. What happened? So, let's say oftentimes phobias are created when someone gets a fear, gets scared, or something happens. So, for example, you could be driving over a high bridge, and your brother or your sister scares you. Well, they said that can create a phobia. That can create a meaning that you put on something that happened in the past and made it an importance. But your phobia is of the bridge, not of your sister, brother scaring you. It's what you connected to it. So that's how your limbic system has decided, okay, maybe you have a phobia, or maybe you're afraid of speaking on the stage because maybe as a child someone told you you weren't good at it and never would be good at it. And so you connect that and you make it important, and now it becomes an issue for you. Okay. The other thing we got to look at, the limbic system helps you focus on things. The problem is we will focus on the negative things sometimes because it tends to carry a little bit of a larger emotional impact because of the way our television programs, radio programs, billboards, advertising, everything's set up. The negative has a larger impact upon us. News programs, why do they make so much money? Because they preach the negative. So your limbic system tends to focus on that. You're having a discussion with somebody, and you follow that old tried and true measure of saying, here's something good about yourself, here's what the problem is, and here's something good about yourself. They focus on the negative, not the two outside things. Okay. So they leave there saying that you don't like them, they don't like that work. They're just focused on that. Okay. Well, as a leader, sometimes that has to happen. So that's why you try to off balance it. Maybe you put that 80-20 rule in. You did this good, you did this good, you did this good. We have to get you better at this. Okay. Or my concern is this. Yes, we still have to deal with the negative, but remember that that person is going to focus on the negative because that's the way our limbic system is set in. The other challenge is that sometimes we tend to try to tell the future without having all the facts. Okay, we try to say, okay, well, if this happens, this is going to happen. If this election goes this way, this is going to happen. If this person gets hired here, this is going to happen. We don't have the facts. We're not capable of telling the future. You're capable of shaping the future, but you're not capable of telling the future. So your limbic system will cause that to happen. This ideal of always, never, in these absolute terms. Have you ever had someone come to you and say, hey, you always are mean to me. You never give me the breaks. Always, never. That's connected, and it's an emotional response is connected to your limbic system because it is an emotional response. By the way, if you want to get someone out of that always, never, just repeat back the word that they're using. You always are mean to me. Always. And then a couple of days ago, we talked about the communication. I remember we talked about that briefly, and we said, okay, communication, the biggest thing you got to do is stop talking. Allow that person's silence to process. Silence is a big, big key in communication. Just say back to them. If they say to you, no, you're always mean to me. Always? Silence. Let that silence carry it for you. Okay. You never show up late to work. Never. That's one way you can deal with that, by the way. Just a quick little side note for you. Sorry. Um, the other problem that can come up from the Olympic system is mind reading. We oftentimes think we can read somebody's mind before they even said it or before they've expressed their opinions or shown anything. Now, there is some truth that you might be able to read somebody's mind if you're great, great, great at reading body language. Okay, if you're great at reading body language, you might be able to get there. But as a general rule, 99% of us cannot read other people's minds. You just can't do it. So start listening to people. But when you start reading people's minds, you tend to go negative yourself. Okay. Well, that person's not going to accept this ideal here because they're bullheaded. That's just where they are. Okay, well, you mind read that and you set that up. You're feeling negative about it. You set that up for them. But on the other hand, if you mind read to say, hey, you know what? That person's going to love this process. That might help you shape that a little bit better. Okay. So now, thinking with your feelings. How does something make you feel? And you get stuck in that. Okay. This person said this to me at that moment, and I feel that way. Now you spend the next 2 hours running that conversation over and over and over again because it made you feel a certain way. So you're thinking about it over and over and over again. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just got to that point where someone said something and you just run it over and over and over again in your mind? What you should have said, how you should have said it, and how they said it to you, why they shouldn't have said it to you. And it just goes on and on and on. Thinking with your feelings comes from your limbic system because that's what's in charge of that area. Okay. Labeling. When you start to label people and events, you get yourself into trouble. And the limbic systems allows that because it's a shortcut. When you start labeling somebody based upon their skin color, their sex, sexual preference, their race, religion, you start labeling people that way, it becomes a problem. Some say when you start labeling things in right or wrong, it's a problem. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to go that far with this right now, but when you start labeling this event was wrong. When you said this to me, it was wrong from your perspective, but you labeled it that way. Or that other person said, well, this was right because I was only trying to help. How you label things can create a problem. As a leader, it's important that you try to start labeling your vision, your mission, and the light that people can agree with and like to be a part of. Personalizing. That person said something that's about me. That person was upset today, and they're upset at me. Could have been something that happened at home, but we've already decided it's about us. We personalize this issue. Um, just had a nice conversation with some folks who were talking about the fact that if you don't call them 3 to 4 times a day or you don't return text messages, it's about them. Okay. You're making that about them. You don't like them anymore. You don't love them anymore. You don't want to be involved with them anymore. That's not necessarily true. Okay. Still, personalizing these issues, personalizing things, you got to kind of be aware that that's a problem. And the number one problem with the limbic system and holding emotion, this is the number one problem when you start to blame somebody else. When you're blaming others, okay, talked about it and I'll talk about it again. When you blame others, you're not taking on responsibility. Okay? As a leader, you cannot blame your team for failing. You can find why they failed and fix it, but there should be no blame in it. Why they failed and fix it. Why this person didn't do the job and fix it. Maybe it is that that person is not suited for this position. Okay, maybe it is that. Okay. Still, no blame. I'm not going to blame you for my team failing. I'm not going to blame you for my relationships failing. I can't blame my wife for the fact the relationship fell. You can't blame. No blaming. That is the number one toxin in most people's system. We tend to blame so we can take the responsibility off of us and give it to somebody else. Remember, when it comes to responsibility, you're 100% responsible for what you do, what you do not do, and how you react to things. And if your reaction is to blame somebody else, you're getting rid of your responsibility. You're trying to get rid of your responsibility, and that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So let's talk about why this is so important to you and why you got to get this off your chest a little bit. Okay, let's talk about the positives. If you want to be in control of your limbic system and you want to help your team get in control of that, surround yourself with positive people. Okay. Surround your team with positive people, especially surround yourself. You're the leader. You got to lead these folks. So when you go home or when you go someplace else, make sure you're around positive people. Make sure that you're positive around your team. Make sure you're finding ways to make your team feel positively better. Okay, that's one way you got to do that. Let's look at another one here. You want to start making your life better, having better control? What I want you to do is sit down right now or sometime soon and list your top 10 people, the 10 people you know the best, and decide if that's a positive influence or a negative influence. Okay? Look at that top 10. See if you can find a way to take that top 10 and adjust it just a hair. Okay, number 9 is a very negative person. I'll spend less time with that person and more time with, oh, the person I wanted to meet over here, or the person I spoke with. Okay, you want to do that. Another thing you need to do is build your skills. Build your people skills. You have to get better at connecting with people. You have to get better at connecting with your team. Okay, you have to learn to help make them feel better. Here's what I'm going to suggest you do in that area. Never take your team for granted. Never take your team for granted. Remember the 80-20 rule applies here. 80% of your conversation with each individual on your team should be positive, where at the maximum 20% should be negative. By the way, if 10, 15% is negative of your conversation, it might be time for you to start looking to put them in a different position that's more suited to them. But no more than 20% of your conversation should be negative. Spend your time not taking your team for granted and letting them know that you don't by giving them positive feedback. Yes, when you have an issue, deal with that issue. Okay. Spend your time showing your team you do not take them for granted. Okay. Let's look at the next one here. Just a second. Recognize the importance of physical contact. Okay, during this time period, physical contact is greatly limited. We're not in the office as much as we used to be. We're not able to do a lot of things that we used to do. We're not able to reach out and shake people's hands or give hugs. Okay, but you got to recognize that it's very important. Physical contact is very important, and we need to compensate for that now by taking care of the other issues, spending more time on the phone, giving compliments, more time speaking with people, just saying hi. Okay, let your voice lend to physical contact until we're able to start having that physical contact again. Spend more time there. Here's the one other great positive thing that people don't think about. Surround yourself with great smells. Surround yourself with great smells. Cinnamon is one, for example. Sandalwood, jasmine. Um, Surround yourself with great smells. Because you know what? Smells provide a direct connection to your mood. They supply a direct connection. So try to, a diffuser in your office, a diffuser with your team, something that's going to give great smells so people can feel better and relax. Okay. I'm going to ask you to journal your wonderful memories. Sit down and write down your wonderful memories. What do you remember that's wonderful? What do you remember when you were young? Okay. And that was a wonderful experience. Was it your first trip to an amusement park? Okay. Just sit down and just write those down. But I'm going to ask you on the basis of professionalship and leadership, I'd like for you to journal your 10 most successful outcomes with your team. The 10 most successful outcomes with your team. Take a moment and write those down. What are the 10 most successful outcomes with your team? Start to exercise. You want to improve your mood, you want to improve your team mood, exercise yourself, but consider trying to have a walking meeting maybe. Okay, try having a walking meeting. See if you can't just say, hey, let's go. This is our weekly meeting, but let's walk today. Get some things going there. But another way you can improve your mood, which helps your limbic system, is your nutrition. Okay, your nutrition. Okay. Now, this is critical, and I'm not going to go into it because here's what I believe. I believe you already know how to eat healthily, what nutrition needs are. But I'm going to ask that you consider one thing: stop the donuts. Okay? Stop the overload of carbs. Stop these type of issues. Okay, with your team. Stop bringing in the donuts to your team. Stop bringing in uh, unhealthy food for your team to snack on. Um, Try to lower that amount quite a bit. So let me go ahead and say thank you very much for hanging out with us today. Greatly appreciate you taking the time. But I also have to do one last thing for you. One last thing. When it comes time for you to really control your team mood, help your team feel better, it starts with you. Okay? It starts with your morning ritual. It starts when you first get up in the morning. I'm coming to this because this is more so a lecture for me. I discovered when I didn't drink my glass of water this morning before I even got out of bed good, have dry mouth. I didn't process this information well enough, didn't share the things I normally can do and will do. Okay? Just because I missed that glass of water for my morning routine. Take care of yourself first. Okay? Then you can take care of your team. Okay? Take care of yourself first. Make sure you walk in that office every single day with a powerful, strong attitude. Okay. And there's skills for this to create a powerful, strong attitude. It's not just a bunch of fluff, but make sure you find a ways to create that. Okay. Make sure you take care of yourself first, and then that way your team will be better off. Okay, folks, we will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. This is show number 4, so we can. No, I'm sorry. Well, I don't know. So today's Thursday, show number 4. So maybe show number 5 will be 1% better than what it was today. It needs to be better than that, but we'll get it at least 1% better. Remember your question for today: 1% better. We will see you 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.